In this video help tutorial, we're going to be covering some of the screens that are related to the order invoice. Let's start out by looking at the Invoice Portal. We're going to go back and cover some things we missed. There's a couple things we need to point out here. The Portal button will take you to the portal. The location is the location that we spoke about earlier. There are two location information pieces here. This is the actual location where you can click on this and paste in an image. And in the same way, the image from the inventory is shown over here from the inventory screen, so you can match them up and make sure that you have the same item. So the location is from the inventory storage location, and then this is the one. Let's go look at the portal so we can see what that is. This image here is the first one we looked at, which is part of the inventory. And then this portal over here is where you can have one to the number of images for the location. This is a scrolling portal, so if you wanted to go to the bottom of this particular thing, you could just scream in here, and then if there was another record in here, you could go ahead and go up and down and add another one. The way you do that is you would just tap on it. You would go to the Photos library, and when the Photos library comes up, in this case I have some test data in here, I would be able to paste this item right in there, and you can see it adds it into the record. To remove it from there, if you didn't want it in there, now, for example, now I can show you can go to the next record and add an additional photo by just going up and down. Let's go ahead and get this out of the way. If I want to get rid of the image that's in there, tap in again, and this time you can say replace or delete, and I'm going to say delete it, and it moves it out so you can add another photo in there if you want to. The purpose of having a multiple area of different images on this portal is so that if you had to, you could take it from different locations. Say it might have been in one location initially and you moved it to another location, or you can take multiple pictures in the same location. Maybe it's behind something and you want to show how to get to it. You can have multiple images, but yet this is still the one from the inventory screen that shows up over there. So this is assisting you to find the location where there might be multiple, or it's difficult to find. It might be up or downstairs and different floors and stuff like that. And you could probably shoot a picture to give somebody who's not familiar with where it was put initially, you can go find it there. Another way to do that is if it's moved from one location to another, you may want to indicate that it's moved and show the new location, and just leave it in the building. If something's there long enough in a store, you want to move it around just so it's fresh, and somebody coming in, it might be in a different place. It might sell immediately if you move it to a new location. So it's kind of important to move your inventory around periodically to gain sales. Okay, let's go back to the main screen, and we're now going to look at the, we've already looked at the invoice portal. Let's go in and I'll explain how this works here. This is the list view. There could be one to the number of records that are in the current selection, and we talked about current selections. In this case, it's showing the order invoice IDs, 1, 2, and 3. There's only 3 currently in the entire database. If you wanted to check to make sure they're all there, you can come down here and click Show All, and if they're all in there, they will come into the field area. Looking at the bottom of the screen, it shows the subtotal for all the items that have a subtotal, and it would summarize those. The paid sum would be summarized for these two together, making the total. And if there's a balance due, you're going to get a balance due down here. And that will also indicate a balance due if the color of the field changes, so you can see where your balance dues are at. In order to do a find, it's fairly straightforward. You just come in, tap on the record here, and start a record entry. In this particular case, I could put in a 1, or I can do something a little different. I know there's 3 records and maybe I want to see 2 of them. I can do what I call a range find. I'll put in greater than or equal to, and I'll put number 1, and less than and equal to number 2. So I should be able to get, because it's equal, I should get records 1 and 2. If I spread this out and say 20, I would get all those records in the search. So let's go ahead and say perform the find. And now you see I have the 2 records. It shows the 2 records in the found set. If I click down here, I can click on this and I can see there's 2 records in the found set. I'm looking at number 1 of 2, and there's 1 omitted for a total of 3 records. I can say show all records or show the omitted and reverse them. And just for the heck of it, let's do the show omitted and reverse the records, and you'll see that now I get number 3. This is the way you can omit records and then show the omitted records, or you can come back over here and do a find or show all to show all of the records. And you can do a search together. You can combine, say, the ID and maybe something else. And this is true for any of the records you see in list views. You can do multiple lookups for different things in order to get records that you are looking for. For example, maybe I want to get all the ones that had the word test client in it, and it would show only those. But then I could also put in a range of invoices, like say 1 to 30, and only test client with 1 to 30 records would show up. So you can do that to find specific records, maybe within a date span where the invoices were all produced within a certain month. You can do that. Clicking on this button will take you back to the main portal. And then again, what we're going to do is move forward. We're going to go down now and look at the image view. And this image view is actually the one that you're getting for the individual records in the portal, where you're adding those individual records. You'll have an individual portal view of each of those things you added into the portal record view. Let's go into the next one, which is the order invoice print. And I was there before, and I showed you that you have the information and a balance. If you have a balance on the invoice, it's going to show. Let's change records to go to the first, and you'll see that I have information. I have a sum paid. I have no balance due. And now if I took this and I changed it and deleted the one and then go ahead and go back, you'll see now that I have a full balance due up here where the row total is here. And I need to change that in order to make it work correctly, because you cannot work this without having sum total to make it work. So I'm going to put a 1 back in there and say done, and you'll see now that it goes back to a 0 sum total. Okay, in this record, I just point out again that you need to add your own business information here and your own logo in here, and that's done by tapping on it and replacing it with a replace from the video or the photo library. This is just typed in and edited to the way you want to fashion it. And there are ways to go ahead and edit this and also do either bold, italic, or underline. You can do that for individual things as far as the text that's in this area. Okay, let's go on and move back onto the main screen. And now we're going to look at the invoice long. Now this is going to take a second to do because you are familiar now with how to find a range of invoices where you can use it in this field, or you can come over in this field and create a range of things as far as looking up an invoice. What we want to do in this field, though, is we want to go in here and say, go ahead and do the find. And if you're going to do a range, you can do a range, or you can use anything that's in all the fields here. Even you could, it'd be silly, but you could even use the text here in the find. It would work also. But what you would do is, say you're looking for consigned values for this person, and you can get a total of all the records that have a consigned value in it as far as the invoices are concerned. Each line item in a thing like this is going to be shown. Now we did a record, I'm going to point out, we did a show the omitted record, and that's what's still showing in here. If I go back up and I say show all, then I'll return all the current records that are in invoices here. And there's now 2 lines in there. What we're going to do now is we're going to say, okay, I want to find a particular invoice. So when I come over from the records that I'm viewing, or I want to pick one invoice to print it, what I would do is go ahead and go into the find mode and then enter that particular invoice in this field, and that's what we're going to see when it comes up on the records. Okay, if you have any questions about how this works, you need to contact me back at the chat area as far as the developer's website, and we can cover these pieces of information. Now, if you want to edit any of these invoices in this row, for example, you can edit it. It will take you back to that particular record where that invoice item was added. Okay, let's move back. I'm going to cover the report separately. Now, we've gone to order status, but I'm going to return just to recap it to show that the items in this list are covered. This is where we entered the original information as far as the fields for the status was for the order status. There's also a narrative here that explains how these work and how they're actually calculated and so forth. And I suggest you read this. It's very helpful to understand what is going on when we add something in here or change it as far as the records are concerned. Again, if you have questions, you can always contact us on the developer website. The last one we're going to is the tax rate. Now, this is a little unique, and I'm going to explain why. In this particular record, you have the tax type where you have, for this particular year, you may have a tax, the type of tax, and the year in the actual running information here. The tax, in this case, it would say your state 2015, and this is the value. Now what happens when you're using the tax dropdown, it's going to allow you to pick one of these or all of them, depending upon where the location is that you're actually doing work with a customer. You would have either city, county, or state. Now this might be for when you put in the city name, county, or state, you would replace where it says city, county, and state with the actual name. So for example, if I was looking at San Francisco as the city, and your tax is the tax of value, and then the year. That way you would know when you're looking at this in the drop-down list, what will return to you is the value for that particular secondary value. This would be displayed in the invoice. This information tells you what that value is based on. So it would be your tax, the state, and the year. Okay, let's go to the very last item. We did the tax rate lookup, pardon me. And to edit these, when you edit them, what you're really editing is the information that's in these two fields up above. So when you say edit, it will move to the records. In this case, it's state. I could say county, and now I'm looking at the county information. And now I can edit up here and add. When you edit up here, it'll change it here. If you want to change the rate or whatever, you can do it based on changing it in this field. Okay, that's pretty straightforward stuff. And now we're going to move in the next video. We're going to move to the product inventory and show the relationship to all the things that we've already done. Thank you.